Representative Thomas Massie from the great state of Kentucky. From the very beginning, truth never seemed to matter at all. Facts never seemed to matter at all. Why are any kids in American schools wearing masks? Even quasi-socialist European countries don't have masks on their kids, and yet the supposed land of the free does. What's wrong with us now?
I'll tell you what, Jesse, I just came from an honor flight that landed in Washington, D.C. These are 90-year-old Korean War veterans, World War II war veterans, and it was delightful. None of them had masks on, and they all shook my hand. Nobody hesitated. None of them cared about a mask. They're from a generation where common sense prevailed, and we're living through a generation right now where common sense and science has gone out the window. For instance, let me tell you how far back we've gone in terms of medical knowledge. A lot of liberals like to point out that General George Washington required his soldiers to get a smallpox inoculation. What they fail to tell you is that General George Washington said not to inoculate those who already had been subjected to smallpox. He already understood 250 years ago that natural immunity from prior infection was a thing. Yet they don't even recognize that today in the military. And even George Washington himself did not receive a smallpox inoculation because he had already had it when he was a teenager. He had already had smallpox. By the way, that's why most of the British soldiers were subject to it. It was sort of endemic in Britain, and they had already had smallpox. So that's why it was such a threat to the American forces. But common sense has gone out the window. We've gone back 250 years in terms of our understanding of science, and it's really sad because people are suffering. Our soldiers are going to suffer because of this. That's why I've sponsored H.R. 3860. I authored this bill. We're up to about 40 co-sponsors. Just got another co-sponsor today. And I know it's almost too late, but I started this campaign in June before there was even a military vaccine mandate. And what H.R. 3860 does is it prevents the military from requiring or coercing members of the military to take the COVID-19 vaccine.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. I'm sure you've seen this, but I have a little video I want to play for the people here about our military members. And I'll tell you, it just enrages me to no end. Watch this.
Due to the new order of the COVID-19 vaccine, I will potentially face separation from the United States Army, and I'm currently pending a religious exemption.
I have been assigned to be a lead junior sailor in our mentorship and training program, and I take great pride in doing so. I will potentially be discharged for denying the COVID-19 vaccine.
I have deployed to northern Syria and northern Iraq. In fulfilling my duties, I have been an FDC chief and an 81 section leader. I will potentially be discharged for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine.
Congressman, it floors me that we've gotten to the point now where we take these young, fit people in our military and we're just running them out. What's going to be left if we just continue to purge society of those dangerous unvaccinated?
Well, right, and I know you're using that dangerous unvaccinated facetiously because the vaccinated studies have shown are spreading it to the vaccinated. And the unvaccinated, that's a choice that they make themselves. You know, the demographic most at risk for myocarditis is young males aged 19 to 24. Guess what? That is the majority of the enlisted members of our military who, in your videos, you saw they're facing discharge from the military. What they're not telling you is they may face a dishonorable discharge and they may face a court-martial, which would put them in the same category as rapists and murderers and prevent them from owning a gun in their lives. Imagine that. You sign up to fight for for our country, for our Constitution, and then you get discharged because you don't take a vaccine that you don't need or that presents an unnecessary risk to you, and then you lose your rights that you signed up to fight for. This is despicable, and that's why I'm fighting for these folks. A lot of them have already been coerced into taking the vaccine, and I think it's borderline criminal to hold out this false hope of a religious or medical exemption and then not to grant them to anybody. They are categorically denying them without giving them their due review And I think that's a violation of what these folks signed up for when they signed up to the military.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the first on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.